All right, let's get into a really powerful story today. This isn't just about the Buddha, but about his younger brother Nanda. And believe me, this is not your typical peaceful story about finding enlightenment. No, this is a deeply human drama about a guy who is completely torn between the love of his life and a spiritual path he absolutely did not ask for.
So, picture this. As Nanda is about to leave his home, his beautiful wife, Sundari, says these words to him. She puts a wet mark on his forehead. It's this desperate, loving ultimatum. This one sentence just sets the stage for everything, doesn't it? It's like a race against time that, well, Nanda's about to lose.
So to really get why Nanda struggled so much, we first have to understand the life he was leaving behind. And I mean, this was a life of pure, absolute pleasure. He was living in a gilded cage.
I mean, Nanda was a prince who literally had it all. His skin was said to be the color of gold, and he was married to Sundari, who was considered the most beautiful woman in the entire land. The text described their love as just all-consuming. They were completely wrapped up in each other, inseparable. Their world was, for all intents and purposes, perfect.
And then, just like that, everything changed. One morning, the Buddha, his older brother, shows up at his door. And this isn't just some casual family visit. This is the moment that the bars of Nanda's gilded cage start to rattle. And this is where you can see just how cleverly Nanda gets maneuvered into becoming a monk. So he offers the Buddha a bowl of food, right? But the Buddha just accepts the food and doesn't take the bowl back. So Nanda has no choice but to follow him all the way to the monastery, and once they get there, the Buddha just casually asks, "So, can you become a monk?" Out of respect, maybe a bit of pressure, Nanda says yes. He tries to back out when the barber shows up, but nope, the Buddha himself steps in, and that's it. His hair is gone, he's a monk, completely against his will.
Of course, you can shave a man's head, but you can't shave his thoughts. Nanda's mind was completely consumed with Sundari, with that promise he made about the mark on his forehead. He kept trying to escape, but the Buddha, with his divine powers, would always stop him. I mean, at one point he literally created a giant chasm in the road to block Nanda's path. The poor guy was trapped.
Okay, so it's pretty clear that just forcing Nanda to stay isn't going to work. His attachment is way too strong. So the Buddha realizes it's time for a much more, let's call it an unconventional lesson.
With this one simple question, the Buddha is about to totally shift Nanda's whole world. He grabs Nanda's robe and poof, they just ascend into the sky, leaving the world and all of Nanda's earthly problems far, far below. Their first stop is a mountainside, and the Buddha points to this blind, one-eyed female monkey and asks Nanda, "So, who's more beautiful, this monkey or your wife Sundari?" And Nanda, of course, just scoffs. He's like, "Are you kidding me? There's no comparison. Sundari is like a goddess." In his mind, the monkey doesn't even register.
But that was just the warm-up. The Buddha then whisks Nanda away again, but this time to a celestial palace. And Nanda is just blown away by what he sees. Heavenly gardens, incredible music, and hundreds of unbelievably beautiful divine nymphs.
And right here, this is where the Buddhist lesson really hits home. He asks Nanda to compare these celestial nymphs to Sundari. To make it even more tempting, the nymphs tell Nanda that they're waiting for him, that if he practices well, he'll be reborn here with them. And just like that, his whole perspective gets turned on its head.
And those are Nanda's own words. The desire that was once only for Sundari has now been completely transferred to a new, shinier object. Suddenly, the most beautiful woman on earth seems as plain to him as that poor monkey on the mountain. He has a new prize to chase.
So Nanda goes back to the monastery and starts practicing with this incredible energy. But there's a huge problem. All the other monks know why he's doing it. His motivation is totally impure. He's not trying to achieve enlightenment. He's just trying to win a heavenly reward. So they shun him. They refuse to sit with him, walk with him, or study with him. He's all alone again.
The Buddha sees Nanda's despair and knows the lesson isn't over. He's shown Nanda the ultimate prize, but desire is only one side of the coin. Now it's time to show him the ultimate consequence. And so he asks another simple, but this time absolutely chilling question.
So the Buddha takes Nanda on a tour of the hell realms, and the scenes are just horrific. Nanda sees beings suffering these unimaginable, endless tortures, all as a direct result of the karma they created in past lives.
But in the middle of all this chaos and agony, something weird catches his eye. A single giant cauldron boiling like crazy, but totally empty. Terrified, Nanda asks one of the guards of hell, "What's that for?"
And this is the moment that changes everything. The guard tells him that after Nanda enjoys his short-lived heavenly life, his good karma is going to run out. And when it does, he'll be reborn right there, in that exact cauldron. In an instant, Nanda's motivation flips from greed for heaven to pure, abject terror of hell.
But the Buddha's lesson still isn't done. He's shown Nanda the carrot and a stick, right? The temptation of desire and the terror of fear. But now, he has to reveal the root cause of it all, the fundamental nature of being alive.
The Buddha then gives this incredibly detailed teaching, not about heaven or hell, but about the 38 weeks we all spend developing in the womb. He breaks it down week by week, from this liquid-like state to limbs popping out, to orifices forming, to bones solidifying, all the way up to that final traumatic moment right before birth.
And look, this isn't just a biology lesson. What he's really doing is deconstructing the very foundation of Nanda's desire. That beautiful body he loved in Sundari, the perfect forms of the nymphs. The Buddha's showing him that every single physical body begins in a dark, dirty, cramped space. It gets burned by hot food the mother eats, frozen by cold drinks. Birth itself is an agonizing trial. He's making Nanda see that the things he desires are rooted in a process of deep, deep suffering.
And this leads to the ultimate punchline. It doesn't matter if you're born a prince on earth, a god in heaven, or a tortured soul in hell. The very act of taking on a body, of being born into any state of existence, is itself a form of suffering. There's no truly safe, truly pleasant place in the entire cycle. And with that final profound lesson, Nanda's incredible journey finally reaches its end. He's seen the limits of desire, he's felt the depths of fear, and now, at last, he understands the source of both. He finally got it. Chasing heavenly pleasure was just as pointless as running from hellish pain. They were just two sides of the same coin, two stops on an endless spinning wheel. The only real goal was to get off the wheel entirely. And this deep insight, not a promise of reward or a threat of punishment, is what finally led him to genuine, true awakening.
You know, Nanda's story is this epic journey through heaven and hell, but it all starts with something so simple, something we can all understand, a powerful attachment. And it kind of forces us to ask, what are the gilded cages in our own lives? Where are our own desires, whether they're big or small, ultimately taking us?